I looked at you again, too.
So I think a lot of this discussion is already underway. I looked at a report not too long ago that told us that we had the same percentage of black male doctors now that we did in 1980. So it's not changing, right? And we've had pathway programs forever. And there's a lot of different reasons why it's not changing, but we have to do a both and approach, in my opinion. So we've got to continue trying to get more people into the pathway. We've also got to look at how we're funding the pathway, reimbursement for doctors. There's a lot of different reasons why docs are not choosing to go this route. At the same time, we have to build other support around that mother so that we can get to birth outcomes now that are in line with what we know is possible. To have a country like the United States that ranks lowest among industrialized nations for birthing outcomes, particularly for maternal birthing outcomes, is absolutely unacceptable in 2023. I think they said in the movie, I'm pretty sure they said in the movie, but I know this to be a fact, that it is better for a mom to birth outside, a black mom to birth outside the United States, because the birth outcomes are that much better. And even in Michigan, I think we're losing 23 moms per 100,000, which is still really high because of maternal mortality in 2023 should not exist.
So hearing that and seeing that there's a gap, like Shannon said, it's the cost, it's the pathways, it's the fear. So to do something right now, it is education of ourselves, doulas, advocating, but it's also planting that seed in our young ones. So that way, in that future, we want our young ones to be like, I want to be a doctor, I want to be an OBGYN, a pediatrician. Right now, they're not hearing that. And with children, we tend to be like, well, we don't want to tell them, we don't want them to see the negatives. But they see that. They see what their moms or aunts or sisters go through, and that scares them. So how do we help them realize that they can make a difference? It may not help 2023, but it might help 2030, 2040. So it's educating our young ones to say, you can be that doctor. You can do birthing. You can have this and still have a family. Because I think that's what happens with our black and brown families, that when they're like, do they go to medical school? They have to feel like they have to choose. Do you choose family? Do you choose education? Do you choose sacrificing all of that in fun? You can have it all with balance though. So it's planting that seed now to see it manifest later.
I think we also have to normalize mid-level professionals. And so thinking about things like, you don't have to be an OB to deliver a baby. And you don't hear many people telling folks in middle school and high school to go into midwifery programs. And you don't hear them talking about doulas. And you don't hear them talking about some of these other ways. I'm a big breastfeeding proponent, and you hear no one talking about lactation. And so these are wonderful careers that no one talks about that could completely change the trajectory of what we're talking about today. And so getting that into the ideas and minds of young people that this is a viable career option, I think is another thing that's really important.
And just to piggyback off what Ms. Shannon said, so I was going to say that nobody talks about, being a doula or going to midwifery school. And so what happened to our career fairs that we had in the schools? What happened to the college tours that we had when we were growing up? How do we bring that back so that our kids in our community can experience those things and have those conversations with them You may not want to go to school to be a doctor, but you can go to midwifery school. Find a mentor that'll walk you along the way. I know for us, Kiara has got that for us. We have mentors, we have connections with lactation conflict. Right now, we have all been certified for breastfeeding. And I have a mindset just be like, well, I don't want to do that, but you will let a man do that. So what's the difference from letting a man do that than your baby to do that? Because your baby is benefiting more. Yes, I have those conversations with my clients because I want them to know the truth. So we have to continue to have those conversations and build that extra support around our families and our children to say, hey, you may not want to do this, but what about this? And let them have those options that they can pick from.
I think that was beautifully stated across the board. It's gonna be a good lead-in into the next question. But doulas, right? I'm sitting next to a doula, I'm like, if I had a baby right now, I got support. Like, that is exciting to me. Midwifery, right? We seen right in the film that units do better when they're led by midwives. We don't see that. I think I was in college when I'm like, I don't even think I know a single midwife. So again, when we think about things like the Day One Doula Collective, we have someone right here in West Michigan helping to train a workforce, and we don't want to burn you out, right? They said that in the film, but to have that option, everybody doesn't have that long to become a doctor. So something else that we did see in the film was Black men. And that's a beautiful thing to see, right? We got young guys in their chains, their Adidas outfits, they're next to their birthing person. The guy was too smooth, right? I bet he passed out. That's what I told the brother to me. But what can we do to empower men? I love the guy from Boot Hill, Missouri, who I will never forget, with the blue gaiters, who said the blue alligator shoes, if y'all didn't catch that. He said the program that he went through helped him not only be a better father, but be a better husband. So in your roles and in your programming, what can we do to empower men?
So Lee left, which this would have been a good question for him. But we do have a fatherhood program. So when we go out and talk to the moms, we give the father that opportunity to say, hey, she's working with the mom, I'm working with the fathers. So we do have that opportunity for the fathers to work in the fatherhood program alongside the mom. And they have fathers that will come out and teach them the necessary skills that they need to help make this a good pregnancy or, journey after pregnancy for a mom. What do I do to support mom when she's doing postpartum? How does it look like when her moods change? What do I do? How can I help her if I know she's tired? Okay, how do I make a bottle? How do I change a diaper? Or what can I do to take some of this off of her? So we do have that. I think out of all the births I've had, I've only had two fathers in a row. That's it. One I had to put out because he wanted to play his Nintendo. We're not doing that. But, we have that program in place for fathers.
Yeah, the Strong Fathers program actually started, it was born at Crown High when I was there. So I oversaw that program for the better, we won't say how long because I know I look young to you all. But I am a strong proponent of fathers being a part of the process, regardless of if they are with the mom or not. That has nothing to do with the child, in my opinion, and you can show up and be a great advocate for your child. The one thing we found is that most fathers really wanted to be in the picture and oftentimes did not know how. And so providing them with some added tools and some reassurance went a really long way. I think at the national level, there's a lot of movement around how do dads become a part of this process, and we do see better outcomes, birthing outcomes when the father is in the picture in some way, right? and so I am a strong proponent for the dads.
I'd say so. With Mom's Room, we provide in-home postpartum support through volunteers, and that baby and mom and family coming home, after 2-3 days in the hospital, they're like, okay. So we offer that for moms and dads. It's not just mom needs a nap, it's both of them. They both need to be able to take a shower, eat a meal, because if dad isn't there, the volunteer's not there, if dad's not there to be his strong and be there, they can't piggyback off each other. They're both depleted, and this little newborn needs them both. So I'm a strong advocate for having fathers in the process the best way that they can, to be supportive. So.
Thank you for those responses. I'm really stuck on, he pulled up the Nintendo, like, someone wasn't having a baby 2 feet away, okay. But I do like that there, yeah, like, what do you and Mario Kart will both get put out of here. Wow, but what I love is bringing men into the picture, right? It's an entire family, doesn't matter your marital status, there's a baby here now, what can we do to support both parents? So I think that's a good lead-in for this question as well. When we think about birthing people, what are some things do you have, if you were gonna list off a few items, what's something someone can do to prepare prenatally or during delivery or postpartum to be an advocate for themselves, right? You each have mentioned education, and as we can see, it's really scary when you go into a hospital and you don't know if you're gonna come out. So do you have any advice or recommendation for what people can do to be better prepared, either entering pregnancy, during pregnancy, or just trying to navigate the system?
Definitely education. So I always say educate. Taking a childbirthing class, going through or going on a tour of birthing centers, know where your birthing centers are. Get to be some of the nurses. I know for the Hope we have a midwifery group. Talk to a couple different ones because the day that you deliver, that may not be the midwife or the doctor that delivers your baby. So just getting to know some staff. Always, having a good support is always a huge, I know as Day One Collective, we push on that being a collective because we are backups for each other. I can't be your backup if you don't communicate with me. So, communicating, having a good support team, getting to know, where you are at the birthing center, who will be there, who do you want to be there, and assigning jobs to everybody. Every birth I do, if you're in the room, you have an assignment. Everybody, and so that is a good way to support mom.
So I'm gonna take a different approach. I would say a couple things. One, we can't underscore the importance of a mom being healthy, and a mom being healthy throughout the entire pregnancy. A mom being healthy before you get to pregnancy, right? And so that health of the mother and making sure that if you are childbearing age and you are doing things that could lead to a pregnancy, and everybody knows what I'm talking about. If you're engaging in those type of activities, to be as healthy as possible, because in the event that you become pregnant, we want you to have a healthy pregnancy. As you're going through your pregnancy, making sure you are going to the doctor or getting those necessary checkups, whether it be with the doctor, however you go through that process. Make sure you're getting those necessary checkups. Make sure that you're hitting your milestones, being educated in that process. When you get about a month out, could you please contact your insurance agency and order a breast pump? Yes. Because I cannot tell you how many moms show up at the hospital and think that we have them on demand. Breast pumps are not on demand. It takes a while to get them. And so if you could order it going into the process and start having those conversations and really think through what's your birthing plan. What are you going to do after you get out of the hospital? What is that process that you're going through? These are the things that we talk about with our moms to make sure that they're ready for this process. At Priority Health, we take the pregnancy window and the window after very seriously. The other thing I would say is, I know you're tired, but that postpartum checkup is one of the most important checkups that you can get. And so even though you might be on your third baby, and you could tell me more about yourself than I can tell you, please go get that postpartum checkup, because it's so important to learning about the process, making sure that you're okay, making sure that baby is okay, and then getting you set up so that there are 18 months between this baby and the next one.
Thanks for dropping that number, Shannon. 18 months, everybody.
So, I'm gonna tie both of these together. I'm gonna say finding you a therapist if you know you have birth trauma. Mental health is just as important as that physical health. Having someone to talk to before pregnancy, during pregnancy, and after pregnancy is key. Whether that be a professional, whether that be support, Mom's Bloom is there for you, or even just having family and friends. Have a plan of who's gonna come and check on you and the family with the baby. Just making sure that you're taking care of yourself, because after you have a baby, that first thing is like, oh, baby, baby, baby. But then you have to be the one to say, oh, wait, am I eating? Because if you're not eating, you're not producing as much. Then your doctors, it's a whole other story that I can go into, but you want to be able to make sure that you're still taking care of yourself. So that postpartum care, looking at your, and I'm going to call it the fourth trimester, because that's what we're called. That's what it is right now. There's a fourth trimester, but making sure that you're prepared for that one. Just as you were before, making sure you're taking all the things you need before you get pregnant. And then that also helps with making sure there's 18 months in between if you're taking care of your postpartum. So
one of the things that really helped me understand this, someone put it to me, like having a baby is one of the most traumatic things you can do to your body. And so when you think about trauma, if you got shot, if you know, all these things that we normally think about as trauma, you don't necessarily think about a baby as trauma to your body, but there are certain things that you would put into place. You would go and get, you would go and see a therapist. You would go, you know, all these other things. You would make sure that you were giving your body time to heal. But with a baby, we often don't do that because we don't think of it as trauma to a baby. I mean, to your body. But it is one of the most traumatic things your body will go through as a female.
What I love is how completely naturally they each brought out different aspects and then tied it together. That was beautiful. Kira, should we just do our own documentary? Like, we don't follow up on that. All right, I told Kira I got corporate roots, so I am going to keep us on time. We're going to wrap this up with one last question. Similar to the movie, I wanted us to end on a high note. So can we talk about Black joy? Why is it important to talk about joy? Do you have your own example? Or what does it mean to you? That's going to be our closer question. So they ended with Black joy. That lady that had the baby in the living room, like, no one made childbirth seem more fun than her. Oh, it's glorious. I'm like, really, girl? Because I had 3 kids. So I was happy that is someone's experience. Like, she made it look fun. So who wants to kick us off with Black joy, and then we'll close out?
my Black joy moment is seeing my 1.5-year baby boy, miracle baby boy, laughing, climbing, all the things that you would think a little 1.5-year-old would be doing. Knowing that where we came from, he was 2 pounds 9 ounces in a NICU for 2 months. So seeing his bright face, every milestone, every little thing he does is a joy to me and my family, because they know how special it is to see this amazing Black boy thriving despite the odds that was placed on him.
Didn't I tell you to stop making me almost cry?
I like my baby.
So I went to tour. Seeing my little black joy was in the NICU. He was born 7 weeks early. 3 pounds when I had him, and he just lights up the room. He is my best friend. But just seeing him hit his milestones and smiling and laughing and playing and knowing that the trauma that we went through giving birth to him, he overcame that and he is excelling well. But not only that, being in the birthing room with my families and seeing, although they had this traumatic experience, when they hear that first cry, it lights up the room, and they have those memories to replace that with, although this was a traumatic experience for them. So that is my Black joy.
I feel like I'm gonna let y'all down, but my Black joy is also my children. So I have 2 girls, and I think I find the most joy in knowing that I am working every day to create a system where they will not have to experience the same injustices that we see in this world right now. And so as I look across the 20,000 births that we deliver every year, each year working to make sure that we're raising the bar, that we are improving the health of the moms that are delivering, that we are improving the health of the babies that are delivering, that is my Black joy. That we are setting in stone policies and procedures, and we are creating the foundation for success and to change the statistical outcomes that we currently see. That for me is the joy in the experience. And so with that, I will say thank you.
Oh my goodness, that was not a letdown, by the way. You just changed the whole world. Thank you, panel. Thank you for your stories. I had a NICU baby too. I had the biggest baby in the NICU. Mine was 5.5 pounds, so we were robust. And then I'm gonna hand it over to Kiera and just thank you for hosting us today.
Alrighty. Well, at this time, we do want to open it up for questions from any of our attendees. So if you have a question, please raise your hand and we'll get the mic over to you. And we do just want to ask if you have a specific question for a specific panelist so we know where to pass the mic. Thank you.
Hello, Aaron Chandran, JP Morgan Healthcare Investments Group. First, let me see how I can consolidate my notes. Actually, before that, thank you all for being here and for organizing this event. I really enjoyed it, the entire discussion and the film, of course, and the popcorn. That did not go unappreciated. My question is somewhat twofold. I guess the simplest way I can phrase it is, do any of you feel the film's focus to some extent was misguided in focusing on the medical bias or some kind of inherent or implicit bias in that industry rather than broader socioeconomic issues? So for example, like food deserts or pollution in Black and brown communities, things of that nature. By one of the MD's own admission, I believe she said it was either related to COVID or mortality rates, but it disproportionately impacts, vulnerable bodies. So in my mind, that would mean, people who experience obesity or hypertension or things of that nature. And the second part is, the statistic that was mentioned during the case study of Georgia, where I believe the mortality rate was something like 66 in 100,000 births, which of course any death is a tragedy, one is one too many, but that still amounts to about 0.06%, less than 0.1%. And if it was truly an issue that the medical community was responsible for, I'd say a 99.4 success rate is pretty good, but maybe I'm just too far distanced to make a measurement like that. Oh, and then one final comment. I noticed around the time that they started discussing, what was it, the Flexner, was that it? Yeah, the Flexner report. The audio and the video started to desync by about 0.5 seconds. So if this hopefully gets a wide release as it should, maybe you guys can harass the production team to get that addressed. All right, thank you.
Oh, JP, that's a lot to address. Who wants to start? Right, Shannon was who we all were thinking.
So first question, do we think that it was biased in the wrong direction? I would say this is a big problem, right? And I think you could make documentaries on several components of the problem. And so I think focusing in on this component of the problem is fair. I think it draws attention to something that needs to be discussed. But could you talk about the other aspects of the problem and make an equally, probably longer documentary? Absolutely. And I think a lot of those social determinants of health or the social needs that you reference, those are things that are applicable to many different health outcomes, not just pregnancy or pregnancy-related outcomes. And that's a whole nother, and there are documentaries that exist on that, but I hear what you're saying, and I think it's a both and. So you could do this documentary that really focuses in on the medical piece and saying, do we have the ability, are we putting in place the right policies and procedures to change that piece of the puzzle? Because that is man-made. Like, that's a piece that we definitely can start to target and change. What was the second question?
Almost thinking the statistic would be like about 94% would be a
Oh.
success.
So when you have a never event, the goal is never. And when we look at maternal mortality in the healthcare sector, and I only know this because we talk about it at Corwell actually on a fairly regular basis, maternal mortality is actually considered a never event. So at least at Corwell, we're about to undergo a fairly heavy, robust strategy to start attacking maternal mortality because it should not happen. And at this point in 2023, with all the medical advances that we have, with all of the understanding of the system that we have, we really should not see these events anymore.
Can I add something? I say I come to these things and I'm just gonna sit and not say nothing. But I do also, I got a big enough mouth. I do also just wanna address that the film also talked about the disproportionate rate, which is another argument. So when you talk about percentages, you have to also look at the comparison of that percentage against another population.
Thank you, Dr. Lovelady. Sorry, I had to say the thank you like that. Okay, JP, let us know if you are looking for something else. You and I can touch base, and I can hook you up with the biostats department at COS.